Hello, one and all, and welcome to the inaugural race, or the first race of LOE Division 2 Season 4. We are here in Albert Park, Melbourne, Australia, ahead of, hopefully, what is going to be yet another fantastic season. 20 drivers lined up on the grid and raring to go ahead of this new season. So, I will of course not be alone. Joining me in the commentary box, as per usual, is Mr. QVR Verstappen. How are you, man?
Hello everyone and welcome to indeed the first race of the new season. I'm doing good. I'm very excited for this race. Let's see, we have 20 drivers on the grid. Let's see if they can show us some good racing and entertain us quite a bit.
Indeed, we will see. So of course now we've got our first car on track is LR McCrew. He is going to kick things off for this season. He is tracked by Aero Packer. We'll see how those guys compare once they get round to their laps. We're just going to talk about the nature of this track first. The lap times in qualifying would expect to be for pole maybe in the low 19s or possibly even the high 18s if someone gets a really nice lap in. And of course strategy is going to be a standard soft to hard. Usually we're thinking, but of course there could be varieties. If you really want to push it, you can go soft medium, as it's not the highest deg track in the world. So we'll see how that all gets on. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how they all compare over a track where qualifying is going to be crucial because it's so hard to overtake. So these next 16 minutes are going to be all important in who comes out on top at the checkered flag later on.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite hard to overtake. We'll definitely see everyone pushing at the absolute limit, and the first person to do that will be LR McCrew as he's starting his lap, coming on to the main straight. DRS open, 8th gear, and let's see, down into turn 1 and 2, very quick little shift down into 4th and back up to 5th for turn 2, DRS open. Main overtaking spot will be here during the race, but now down into turn 3, heavy braking zone, and locks up a little bit on the front right, goes a bit wide there. And I turn in for turn 4, 4th gear up, and now down in towards the flat turn 5. Going up to the sector 1 split goes McCrew, 26.4, decent there. As he goes up to 6, 7, and now for the long right-hander, which is easy flat. Turn 8, and down into a little chicane, turn 9, high curve there. It locks up a little bit there, and now in the exit of 10 gets the traction down quite nicely. Now sweeping towards turn 11 and 12, the fast chicane into 6th gear, and this is very nicely done by the LR driver in the Williams. Let's see, now down in towards turn 13 as he has his teammate up ahead actually. And now coming down into turn 14, difficult corner, don't run too wide as he just about avoids his teammate. That's not really nicely coordinated, but McCrew continues on, still going to finish the lap, but it will not be too competitive, I reckon, as we can see him at 120.2, and yeah, I'll be hoping to get better than that.
Yeah, I think a miscommunication there with the Williams boys there. They have come up short there. I think that was Packer that was off the road actually at 14 emerges, and he's of course overtaken by likes of QVR Chill, who are just getting on to their hot laps just now. A lot of cars now out on track. It's a very busy circuit. Big Panther, yeah.
19.8, decent lap time from the AlphaTauri, who is now just 4 hundredths ahead of QVR Chill, as Nico breaks that time 19.6, 2 tenths ahead.
And Mala, of course, goes even quicker on a 19.5, so those QVR guys heading up the times at the moment. XL Ryan goes P3 on a 19A, but it's Mala on top, and as I say that, Yale replaces him at the top of the timesheets there. 19.3 is very competitive very early on in the session, of course, so I mentioned low 19s, possibly even the 18s, and yeah, we know the kind of pace he has as a Division 1 driver last season, and he's going to try and get the most out of it there. Comfortably quickest at the moment, 2.5 tenths clear, and if he can keep that momentum going, then who knows what can happen as we progress into the race.
Yeah, definitely, as we see, I think that's M Short coming across the final corner, opening it up to DRS, coming across the line, goes the Mercedes driver up at P7, 19.8, decent lap time.
Indeed he goes there, and you can see there as Hypes goes into second. We saw him have that incident with his teammate, but he's managed to recover nicely and go near the top at the moment. Slash out the session there, and that's down there at the exit of turn 12. A very difficult corner, and you can see he's just stacked it into the wall there on the exit. He must have ran wide onto that very dangerous curb. Maybe caught the grass and sent him round, and that is not the start of the season he would have wanted. He will surely start from last of the grid with a lot of work to do ahead of the race.
Yeah, definitely will be a hard time for him today. Let's see, as Mr. Skizy is coming for turn 13, a few cars ahead of him. Let's hope he doesn't get held up too much by them. Let's see, he's coming for turn 15, difficult corner, this penultimate, he locks up a bit. And now coming for the final corner up to 6th gear quite early on there. And now towards the line, Mr. Skizy goes, not the quickest left line, 20 flat, he'll be looking to improve on that one.
Yes, indeed. We'll see if he's able to do so. Iro Dillon is coming in the last few corners on the lap as well, braking hard into turn 15. Clip the curb on the inside, try not to lock it up now into the final corner. Little entry left and then floor it. Get as good an exit, as much momentum as you can take off that last corner to the line. Iro Dillon, that is P5, just ahead of his teammate by a couple of hundred, so decent lap from Dillon, but it's still Yelp up at the top then with Hypes chasing him down. You can see the kind of mid-19s is where the top drivers are heading for. We'll see, of course. I'm sure those lap times will come down even further later on in the session, but it's Yelp. He looks very, very intimidating for the rest of the field, at least on that one lap pace. A 93, even by the Division 1 standards, is a very quick lap time this early on in the session.
Yeah, it definitely is, and he's looking impressive out there. Of course, trying to prove himself that he is, of course, he's of course an ex-D1 driver, and he'll be looking to prove himself that he is worth that. And yeah, let's see. I predict he'll be right up there.
Yeah, we'll see, of course, if he can translate that across the rest of the season, because, of course, one qualifying session isn't defining, and, of course, we could see some of the guys as well stacking up. Of course, both the guys that finished 1 and 2 in the championship last time out have gone up to Division 1, and that leaves the highest placed driver left, being Exo Ling, who is currently down there in 14th place, with a lot of work to do to try and get himself further up there. But his quality pace is never a strength, but he's got to try to do a little better than that. But you can see how tight it is. You can see the amount of drivers on a 19.8 as well. 6 drivers, 7 drivers, sorry, no, 6 actually, on a 19.8. But that's the kind of level of competition you're going to be seeing there, and those tiny, tiny margins are going to make big, big differences in a division like this.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit of a quiet point, but a few drivers coming out for the outlaps, of course. For the second runs, the first one will be QVR Nico as he's lining up to start his lap.
Let's see how the Spaniard gets on. Of course, had a good run towards the end of last season and climbed up the championship standings. He's going to be one of the favourites ahead of the season. Let's see how he gets on here. Now, in a turn 1 there, takes it in 4th gear. You can take it in 5th, but he's going to choose to be a little bit more aggressive with that rotation. Flat through 2 and now full throttle again. Going down towards turn 3 on to the brakes then. He's going to use 2nd gear, get the bite into the corner, short shift to 3rd and to 4th. Get as much traction out of that corner as you can. Easy flat, going through 5 here, and don't dare left off. Now, heading down turn 6. He's a 10th up in that first sector, good time, but he clips the grass a little bit. Going on to the entry of 6, and that does compromise him slightly, but he's still going to keep soldiering on in that Red Bull. Onto the brakes, yet again, into the very difficult traction zone out of turn 10, but he's able to get that power down nicely, and he's on his way, going down towards the fantastic turn 11 and 12 complex. Purple through the second sector, takes a nice little curve on the inside of both apexes. That's a very neat and tidy line from Nico, and of course now onto the brakes. Brake as late as you possibly can, use as much of the entry as you can. 3rd gear rotates the car very aggressively. Now into turn 14, take as much apex speed as you dare, and then brake as late as you dare. Into 15, clip the car on the inside, short shift, run it out left of the track, hit the apex on the right, back out to the left for the exit. Now is flat out, going down towards the line. QBR Nico, where does he go? It's P3 on a 19.5, about 2/10 off pole, and that's very competitive though from the Spanish driver in that Red Bull there. And of course with his teammate Dillon up there as well, the Red Bulls do look like a very strong team in this season. Watch out for them in that constructors battle.
Yeah, definitely. As Iro Packer goes up into P3, the winner of course the Britain pre-season race, and he's looking quite fast already.
Indeed he is then, managing to get the most out of that Haas. Of course, his teammate Carmentos is a little bit lower down, but at the moment, a 19 is not putting you far up there. And that's McCrew, P3, so he's managed to join his teammate up in the top 3 positions, just pipping Packer by 1,000 of a second. Yeah, those Williams as well, very, very strong, and you're seeing a lot of different teams that could be challenging up the front, so as well as the Drivers' Championship, which is obviously going to be immense. Keep an eye on that Teams' Championship as well, it's going to be one to watch out for sure.
And now a favourite for the title coming up, and he's up into P9, Axel Ling, 19.6.
Indeed he is there. I saw another driver moving up. I think that was M Short, and he's made it a Mercedes 1-2 up at the front actually, and just 5,000 shy of his teammate NSX Yelt. So very impressive from M Short. Another driver that was picked for D1 last season, didn't quite see the season through, but he is showing his pedigree up there. P2 at the moment, and those Mercedes drivers, very intimidating presence there, 1 and 2. And yeah, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. But of course, it's one quali session, it's not a whole season. And even though you're seeing what the standings in front of you, I can assure you that what we'll be seeing later on in the season will be much, much different. To not make judgments already, because this season is going to be so unpredictable. And yeah, so many drivers can win it. That yeah, just this quali session may not mean much in the context, but it's that psychological edge for being on pole. But of course, you know, even in today's race, it's going to be difficult to stay there.
Yeah, definitely so many competitive drivers, top 11 in within 410s. That's quite insane already. Let's see if there's anyone else on the lap I can catch. I think, let's see, is it Wesker? He's coming towards the end of his lap, down into turn 15. Let's see, down into second gear, rotates nicely, but he goes back into the pits, so he may have not been on the lap. I may be mistaken right there.
Yes, indeed. And you can see there that the entire grid that have set time, the top 18, are separated by less than 0.6 of a second. Well, not anymore, because Iro Dillon has put in a huge lap, a 19.0. That is absolutely sensational from Dillon. And of course, he was a guy that was renowned for his qualifying pace last season, and he's showing that again. Dillon, what a lap, a 19.0, more than 2 tenths clear. And every driver is just going to look up, see that time, and maybe shivers will be running down their spine, because that is quite remarkable from Dillon there. A 19.0, that is going to take some beating.
So I saw Hypes on a quick lap, but he just got hindered there by Ryan, I think, who was trying to start this lap. So that's unfortunate for the Williams there. I think Captain Chops is coming towards the end of his lap, open up the DRS for the final corner. Let's see where the Renault driver comes out. He's at a 119.6 up to P10.
Indeed he is. They're both Renaults bringing up the rear of that top 10. Of course, outside the top 10 you'll have that all-important free choice of tyre, so maybe the lower end of the top 10 not always the best place to start then. You might even be preferring to start a little bit further down and get a better strategy for the race. So yeah, I'm just seeing in the chat then, we've got someone saying, this is a very competitive league, how can I join? Well, it's quite simple there. Go to the, I believe the League of Europe website, and you can actually, the sign up form is in the description of the video, you can see there. So if you click on that, then you can sign up there and you can join this brilliant league, and yeah, hopefully you'll be a great part of it. So yeah, please enjoy, but of course, we will go back to the action out on track, and I can tell you now, NSXL, despite being interrupted a little bit by XL Ryan, I saw he was 2.5 tenths up on his time. He could be challenging that top mark of Dillon if he puts the last sector together.
Yeah, let's see, it's coming for turn 13, a lot of apex speed, up into 5th gear on the exit, and let's go down towards 14, very quickly up to 6 again, and down into 15, difficult corner, clips the apex really nicely, just looking like a really quick lap. Could he be the first one to break the 18s, open up the DRS? Let's see, NSX Yelt is coming through with a 119.1, half a tenth behind Iro Dillon into P2.
And that's half a tenth that he lost in that final sector, so just losing out at the death, and Dillon survives up at the top, but for how much longer? Who is on a competitive flyer at the moment there? Looks like most of them are either on invalid laps or not on laps at all, of course, with just under 4 minutes to go in the session. The real business end is still to come, and a lot of drivers are now gearing up for their final runs, where we'll see how they all stack up on the grid that's separated by 0.8 tenths of a second. Well, you have no idea how the order is going to shape up. There's such a competitive division. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds in these last 3.5 minutes.
Big Panther come through turn 14 there, now down into the penultimate corner. I think he was on about a 2 tenths improvement, so let's see as he climbs up the gears into the last corner, open up the DRS, and let's see, coming across the line, the Big Panther, 119.4 into P7. And in behind, I think we have Iro Packer coming across the line. Let's see what he can do. He sets himself into P4. Minor improvements, but still a few positions there for the Haas driver.
Indeed it is, but he does put himself up amongst the top runners there. I think the only driver on the lap is Matteo Forte, so we'll see how the Alfa Romeo stacks up then. Now coming down into turn 13 there. Decently sized braking zone there. Fourth gear, third gear briefly to get the nose into the corner. Now 14, it's a fantastic right-hander. Use as much of the track on exit as you can to get back to the right-hand side, because you're going to be braking hard into turn 15 and then almost flat to the final corner of 16. Runs very wide and invalidates their heartbreak for Matteo Forte. Where would that lap time have put him? It was a 19.1. He would have got P2, but that mistake at the last corner has cost him dear. And how much is that going to set him back in this session? That's bitterly disappointing for Matt, who still doesn't have a lap on the board.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult for him to get one unless he has to fuel to get it back. So let's see. One driver is on the lap. It's Mr. Skies. He's coming for turn 8, now down to turn 9.
Onto that curb on the inside there, run it out on the exit as well. We've got to use as much of the road as you can. It's such a necessity around a track like Australia, and where qualifying is so important. Those tiny margins make the biggest differences, but he's half a tenth up at the moment. We'll see if he can pull out more, but he's massively cuts 12, and that is going to spell an end to this lap. He might have enough fuel in the tank for another, but that is a big blow to Skyzy's hopes. He's going to have to go again if he can. But I think he's got a fuel light on, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to. Skyzy's session might be rendered done on a 19.6 and P13 for the time being there, and there's a long way to go now moving forward for the Frenchman.
Yeah, definitely, and P13 won't be too happy with that. The reserve was, of course, filling in for Spag. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, we have LR Hypes, I think, just starting his lap. He's come for the first sector and he's on a 26 flat. That's really quick. And looks to be purple for now.
See if he can keep that momentum going in at Williams there. Yellow's up ahead. Hopefully it doesn't interrupt the Indian driver. Now runs a little bit wide going through turn 9, but actually gets really good apex speed, so it's working out just fine. Boyle Williams, of course, just in front of his teammate in the session, but he could be a little bit further up because he's 2.5 tenths up, a full quarter of a second up. He gets a little bit tail happy going through turn 12, but just about keeps it together. Now into turn 13, they're locking up on that right front. It's going to push him a little bit wide. Packer out the session as well. He will start no higher than 4th as we're now in the dying stages of qualifying now. Hypes round the penultimate corner, sets up the final corner, gonna go full throttle now and give it everything. He's P5 for the moment, but a couple of tenths and he'll find himself on pole. Where does Hypes go? It's P2, just a couple of hundredths shy of Dylan, who starts his final flying lap as well. Who is on a lap at the moment there? I think Ryan has just come around that last corner now. Of course, D4 champion last season has made his mark, but not quite enough. It's P11 for the time being for that racing point, and he will start no higher, but he will have free choice of tyre in the race, so it might not end up too bad for Ryan there, who is nearing the end of a lap here in such a frantic end to this qualifying.
As it's Rick Couric is the next one, coming for the final corner. Let's see, open up the DRS. I think it was a temp up through the 62 split. Let's see what that puts him. The AlphaTauri reserve into P6. Good final sector there from him. LR McCrew is just following up in behind. Let's see where he can put himself. Can he put himself with his teammate at 119.1 P3?
That's a very, very strong lap time from McCrew. Ben JS improves to 16th, but he improved on time, but I don't think he improved on position. It's Nico now over the line. He goes 5th. A good lap from Nico. He's able to establish himself up near the front. We'll see if he can hold that out, though, come the race. Who is now on a lap? I think it might be Carmentless, but he's petted. He will start no higher than 17th. He showed such pace in pre-season, and he will not start any higher. Where's Short?
Coming for the final corner. Let's see, open up the DRS. Where can he put himself? He's now P6. He needs a few tenths improvement. Let's see, he puts himself P2. 8 thousandths behind Ira Dillon. And that will be Ira Dillon taking pole, I believe. He's on the invalid one. Yeah, it's Ira Dillon in pole. 8 thousandths ahead of M Short. And the top 5 guys separated by 62 thousandths of a second.
If that is a taster for what is to come this season, I am so very excited. Wow, that might be one of the closest qualifying creds I have ever seen. Look at that. The whole field is separated by just over 8 tenths of a second. That is remarkable.
Yeah, it's indeed remarkable. Of course, the two Alfa Romeos will be starting from the back of the grid, not having set a lap time. They'll have some work to do in the race. Let's see how they make their way up as well.
Indeed, they've got a lot of work to do, but of course, it's not over till the Fat Lady sings, so we'll see how that all stacks up come the race. It's going to be very, very exciting. But Iro Dillon, he didn't have the season he wanted to. Last season he won, of course, in Germany, but of course, apart from that, a very dire season 3 for him. But he has got himself started on the right foot. Iro Dillon, by the skin of his teeth, has pole position for the first race, but he's got 29 laps of Albert Park ahead of him if he wants to take home a race victory.
I've just noticed the top 6 is divided by 3 teams, being Red Bull, Mercedes and Williams, so they're looking alright already. And yeah, it's Iro Dillon on pole position ahead of M. Short. 2 Williams drivers on the second row with Hives 70,000 ahead of McCrew. Then it's NSX Yelt and Nico on the third row. Packer and Rick in behind, and Big Panther and Maledictus rounding out the top 10. And then for 3 tire shows we have Wesker, Ryan, Chubbs, XL-Ling, Skyzy, Benji S, Carmensless, Kvyat Chill, and then the 2 Alfa Romeos rounding off the grids. And they'll have some work to do, as been said.
Yes, and I just want to point out that Toxic has said in the chat that Toxic is driving for Dillon. Okay, interesting. If that's the case, then Menulek, you set a slower lap time than I did in D1 still. So yeah, get wrecked. Anyway, that enough about D1 and us. Let's get into this then, because 29 laps of Albert Park ahead of us, and hopefully a great race that's going to provide us a spectacle to kick off this season.
Yeah, and for now we're looking at a dry GP. Who knows, some mixed conditions could happen further on the race. But for now it looks quite sunny. I reckon a few drivers, well, actually quite a lot of drivers, will be starting on the mediums outside the top 10. Maybe someone will go daring for the hards or get up a few positions early on to try and go onto the softs, and I'll have to see about that.
Yeah, of course, we're going to have to keep an eye on that tyre strategy outside of the top 10, but of course inside of the top 10 they'll all be on those soft tyres, and how much is that going to compromise them on strategy? Now you can see the cars all on the grid, and Dillon leads them away for the first time this season, and the nerves are going to be sky high for all 20 of these drivers. They've got a long season ahead of them, a grueling season ahead of them if last season is anything to go by. And yeah, with all that done through, then you could look outside the top 10 then, and there's a vast majority of drivers that have gone for one strategy there. The 2 Alfa Romeos have gone for a slightly different approach ahead of this race.
Yeah, everyone from P11 to P18 is opting for those medium tires, and the Alfa Romeos seem to be getting quite feisty now. If they're going on to the softs early on, they'll be making up positions quite early, or at least trying to, and I'll see how they go off in the first couple laps.
You just saw at the bottom of your stream, or your screen, the soft to hard strategy is the recommendation for the guys inside the top 10. Of course, outside the top 10 things will be a bit different, but of course Iro Dillon, I'm sure, won't be giving those drivers much thought. He is just going to be focused on eventually those 5 red lights. And of course, it's so nerve-wracking being at the front at any race, but particularly in a season opener. You do not want to find yourself falling down the field, getting involved in an incident or making any sort of error, because then that's going to set a bad precedent for your season. These guys need to get off to good starts then. But yeah, a very, very spicy front of the grid, and a very, very competitive grid as a whole. Looking forward to this one, Verstappen. So I think we're just seconds away from getting this one underway. And yeah, ahead of this race, who's your money on?
It's such a tough one to call, but I think my money is going to be on Iro Dillon. He seems to have some great pace. So let's see how that goes on, but basically everyone is a contender here. Keep your eye on Packer, of course, as he's coming from P7. He's won the pre-season race early on. That's the MMA Slashes joined. I didn't even know he was out, to be honest. Yeah, as drivers have lined up now, just waiting for the couple last drivers.
And now they settle. Iro Dillon, M Short 17, that's your front row ahead of this opening race of the season. These drivers will be all itching, eager to get underway, and now they'll have that chance because here we go, 4, 5 lights. And season 4 is underway then. Dylan gets away from the line, but Short gets a very good start. He's up and alongside him there, but no, Dylan in the second phase gets himself ahead. We'll look behind there and see how it's all shaping up there. Yell is running outside there as you get a lot of drivers running right through the tight turn 1. Williams spinning, that's McCrew into the wall back there, and he has been forced to drop back there, but Dylan just about leads from Short in second place there. Nico side by side with Rick from the back there, round again. That's time it's his teammate Hypes that's gone round as we've got chaos down there at turn 3 there. Both Williams coming to blows early on in the race, but yeah, as the timing screen's doing a bit of a glitch there, I do apologise, but Dylan has just about managed to get away from the front there. Short all over him, and those top 2 have made quite a break in this opening half a lap there. Can they hold on to it though?
Yeah, there's a bit of a gap there. It's a second gap between the two Mercedes, or a bit more actually. I think the timing is still not too great. Let's see, as Matt has made so many positions off, he's up at the P10. That's quite impressive for him.
Indeed it is then. He is making fast and quick progress going through the grid there. As further down the field, I think that's Big Panther. Big Panther into the wall, losing momentum coming off of turn 12, and he now recovering, but he is well down the field there. He's got significant damage now on that front wing end plate, and he has been forced to drop well down the field. Surely a pit stop on that first lap, and what tires does he go for? I don't know. As Matt continues to make that progress there, he gets through on Packer, who's also must have had damage, and the American dives into the pits at the end of lap 1. A couple of drivers coming to blows. They're not the first laps they would have been looking for.
Definitely not, but I think who's happy with their first lap are Dylan and Short, as they're pulling away. And Big Panther getting 5-second time penalty for speeding in pit lane. Not going to help him in the slightest. As those two are into the pits.
Orientalist down the inside on the Skies. He's going to lock up and run a bit wide there. Skies, he's going to come back and in that Ferrari sweeps around the outside of 4. Better contact. Comentalist almost going around there and manages to just about keep it together, but Skysy holds 10 in front of him there. Those two Williams as well swapping places. Hypes ahead of McCrew, but both of them have got such a long afternoon, a long evening ahead of him now, and they're going to have to try and move forward there, as at the front it's beginning to space out. Got some penalties flooding in already, but Dylan and Short are using this opportunity as well, and Yell is pulling away from Nico, so the top 3 beginning to establish themselves up at the top end of the race. But Dylan still leads, but Short is not going away, putting the Red Bull under immense amounts of pressure.
Definitely, as Spinjazz picks up time penalty already, unfortunately for him. Down in the field, I think that's Hypes getting past Slash's AI car. Actually, I think Slash has got back in this car for some reason, but he's not looking too good at the moment. Anyway, coming on to the third lap, DRS will be enabled. M Short for the fastest lap, 24 flat, as Yelt improved that with 23.7. Matt as well, very quick. He's made up 11th place, and it's not done yet. It's on to the back of Rick and Ryan here at Alba Park.
Yeah, and of course Rick on those mediums, the leading medium runner, has had a good start, but he is going to be paying the price for that as he's coming under pressure. Rick all over the back of him, Matt all over the back of him, but he's managing to establish himself a little bit ahead of those medium runners behind him, but still the top 3 now within DRS. Yell is showing great pace. McCrew's gone into the pit lane, must have not been happy with the condition of his car. Is going to have to pit for hard and maybe try and get them to the end, but it's such a difficult task there, and he's got a long road ahead of him. Further down the field there, Matt and Rick are side by side there. Rick holds the inside line through 10, and Matt is just about unable to get himself through, has to send him behind the flying Finn, and he's going to try and work his way into DRS of the car ahead. Now M Short has got DRS himself off of Dylan, but there's no over optimistic moves. He is going to sit behind the Dutchman there and probe, wait for his opportunities, and those top 3 are moving away as the Yell, of course, managing to get onto the back of him. Nico and Maledictus struggling to stay with it, but that race pace from Yell so far looks very, very encouraging there, and honing in on those top 2, his teammate included, and Dylan now has not 1 but 2 cars chasing him down as we go into lap 4.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure 2 tenths behind. Let's see, can he get a better exit out of 2? I think Dylan's got the better exit there, to be fair. Let's see if the DRS can make it up. He is not close enough, unfortunately, for a move. And let's go further down the grid. Skies is on a bit of pressure from Carmentelis here. Captain Shop picking up a time penalty in the meantime. Skies holds position for now. Down into turn 3. Carmentelis gets indeed very close to the back of the Ferrari there.
Indeed, he's got yellow flags in there. That's Captain Jobs is off at turn 3. Must have come to blows with another car, because that's a very strange spin, or he possibly outbraked himself. I'm not sure what's going on there. Look at this lead battle though, because M Short is all over Iro Dylan. Surely it's a matter of when, not if, and if he can get past Dylan, he's got a buffer between himself and the ever closing and ever imposing NSX Yelp behind. So now Dylan has the advantage of not running in that dirty air, is able to pull a bit of a gap over M Short there, but look out for NSX Yelp. He's closing down as well, and looking at the back of his teammate, has a fade to the inside. No real commitment onto the brakes. Short a little bit tail happy off of turn 13, keeps it together, but these leaders are running so close, and of course with the likes of Nico and Maledictus just hanging back, it's so easy for these guys to have an incident, and they've got to be so careful, otherwise they could be promoting those two QVR drivers into 1 and 2 and putting the likes of Ryan on the mediums into very good position. But now Ryan himself is going to be under pressure, because Rick has picked up a slipstream over the racing point, looks towards the outside, going into turn 1, can he make that one stick? Ryan holds the inside line and holds the place, but runs wide, and watch man spinning out of 2, and he can't quite hold it together. Now Rick pulls to the inside of XL. Ryan looks to try and make that move stick. Ryan breaks very late around the outside, looks for the switchback now on exit there. He's still wheel to wheel with Rick, but Rick is just about able to pull ahead. But yeah, Matt, after that incredible start, losing traction off of turn 2, back down pretty much where he started in P16, and yet again he's got to try and fight his way through there. And with the field more spread out, he's going to have a more difficult chance than ever to get any decent points.
Yeah, definitely a blow to his chances for a good result here. Let's see, Ryan picking up a time penalty. Not be happy with that. Dylan is still under pressure from the two Mercedes drivers as Big Panther spun again for turn 2. Let's see, I'm Short onto the back of Ira Dylan towards the turn 13. Down the inside goes Short. Let's see, can Dylan hold around the outside? Short completes that move. And he's up into P1. Ira Dylan down into 2nd. And look behind there. We have Nico Maledictus closing up to this train.
Yeah, well, that battling has got them into DRS range as Yelt is looking towards the pit lane, and he's in very early in lot 5, so he fancies himself to maybe be able to grab a bit of an undercut, and he comes in. That provokes Nico, Maledictus, 3rd and 4th now, and now the two Red Bulls running nose to tail. But Dylan now, we saw how easily M Short was able to keep pace with him. Now he's going to have to work staying that DRS, which is Hypes is out there. What's going on there?
I think he spun out of the final corner. It looks like a
safety car. Oh, that's disaster for Yelt.
Is this? I think this is not going to help him in the slightest. The softs may be able to get the free pit stop on already.
Yeah, that is cruel luck for NSX Yelt, and it's really a saviour for those soft runners. They can probably pit for hards and comfortably get to the end of this Australian Grand Prix, so that's worked brilliantly for those guys there. Less so for the medium runners. They're probably going to have to employ the same strategies. I suspect at the end of lap 6 we're going to see a very busy pit lane as everyone scrambles to get on fresh tyres ahead of the next safety car period.
I reckon a few of the medium runners might be thinking about staying out and just going along, try to extend that medium period. We'll have to see about that. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think the top 5 will be in. Nico is maybe a victim of holding up because he has Dylan, of course, ahead, pitting as well. So we have to see. He might drop behind Maledictus. He has a bit of a gap to Rick, so that might be fine for him. I'll have to see about this.
I think Nico has been aware of that and has actually slowed down intentionally just in front of Maledictus. Look at that gap's opened up. They were pretty much together. Now that gap is 5 seconds, so I think that Nico has left the gap to Dylan. A little bit of a naughty play as Dylan gets a
weird. That's a weird warning there.
Yeah, he has to get that removed. Surely that's definitely not fair in the slightest.
If he doesn't get any more warnings, of course, throughout the race, definitely possible
Nico.
that. Everyone seems to be coming in. Carmentless and Ben JS are staying out for now. Let's see, is QVR chilling? QVR chills in. Looking in mind. And where is NSX Yelt's going to come out? Short and Dylan coming out the pits. Let's see.
This is Yelt having to drive that Delta. I think he's still actually going to be in P3 thanks to Nico backing up. And of course that would create a bit of chaos in the pit lane. And Rick, of course, also up into a net P4. Of course, those top two still have to pit. They've got track position, but a long way ahead, of course, they will have to stop again. But M Short holds your net race lead, but now he's got 2 cars to navigate there. And of course, Ben, JS and Carmentos probably won't back down. And so Dylan may have a chance of sneaking his way back through. And of course, with those 2 guys that have stayed out, it makes things so unpredictable. Because of course, they can really change the climate up at the top end of this race there. Short does not clear them quickly. He's going to be in deep trouble from the cars behind.
Definitely, as Matt in the meantime has pitted onto softs quite strangely. So he'll be on the attack again, I reckon. Let's see how he gets on.
That might actually be a smart call if he can get enough track position, but of course Albert Park, such a difficult track to pull together overtakes on, so he's going to have his work cut out, but he's already moved through the field once before in this race. We'll see if he can do it again. Hopefully we get back to racing very soon, probably not on this lap, but possibly the next, and that's when you're going to see Car Mentalist dictate this safety car restart. And of course, where will he go is the big question on everybody's lips. But of course, these guys on mediums are not going to be too far down on pace compared to these guys on fresh hards. In fact, they may even be the same pace or possibly quicker. So they're going to have to, they're not going to be, you know, falling back through the field like stones, but it's going to make things a real challenge for M Short, Dylan Yale and everyone else to make their way through. Car Mentalist and Ben have kind of put themselves in a bit of a power position in dictating the front end of this race.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that folds out. Another thing is that guys with damaged Packer, one of them, McCrew, and I think it's Big Panthers. Matt is in again, he might be going on to the Hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys have caught back up, so they're back in the race. We'll see how they get on.
It's a fresh start for those guys, of course, and it's going to help them as well with tyre saving as well, being doing these laps behind the safety car. It's going to be getting them in a better position, because otherwise hards for almost the entire race is a very tough ask. But of course they've given themselves something of an opportunity now, but we're just going to have to wait and see how it all pans out. Now just a little bit of a waiting game now, as the last of the runners is going to be Matt that's going to claim himself onto the rear end of the field, and we can get racing back underway. But yeah, Car Mentalist is going to dictate this restart. Of course, a guy that's had a very disappointing race so far, but now he's put himself in a power position, leading the race as Pig Panther is out the session. Hopefully he can get himself back in, but Car Mentalist, of course, has got control of this restart, and if he can execute it well, he can get a little bit of a gap onto Ben GS, and he's going to be occupied by the cars behind. Car Mentalist, if he executes this race, it could be a very smart strategy call here from the Haas.
Yeah, definitely. If we can get away from the pack and maybe a little bit battling in behind will happen as we get the confirmation that the safety car is going to be in this lap. Mentalist is going to dictate the pace. Yeah, he has to make everything of these mediums, and he'll probably try and stretch him towards the softs towards the end. Let's see how he can do it.
Yes, of course, backing up that pack then, any moment he could go, of course, he dictates it, and all these drivers have to be ready, have to be alert at all times for any push that Car Mentalist makes. Now he's going to back it up, going through turn 13. Ben GS has a front row seat to the decision. Robert, the Haas driver there, who's looked so impressive in pre-season, now leads the way ahead of the Racing Point, eager to get going there, heading towards the penultimate corner. He's going to go soon. Safety cars in the pits, we're raring to go. Car Mentalist backs it up, little bit of a squirt on the throttle, and away he goes, but runs way going through the last corner, just about able to keep it together. Little bit of oversteer, and the overtake comes on immediately for Ben GS. He chases him down, going down towards turn 1, and as they all run in file to start that safety car restart. Their Car Mentalist wide through 1. I think he might just be able to keep it out in front there. Both of them using a lot of overtake to get themselves out in front, but Car Mentalist is just about but able to maintain it. Lock up though is going to push him out a little bit wide. Further down the field there is McCrew getting past Chubbs. Chubbs is going off, going through out of turn 2, and he drops back to the rear end of the field just in front of Big Panther, who of course is not in the session right now, but it's Car Mentalist who's managed to maintain that lead, and now we've got to see if the net race leader Short is able to clear these guys and get a buffer between himself and Dylan behind.
Yeah, definitely. As Yelp is down the inside of Ira, Dylan down into turn 9, and he is clear of the Red Bull driver, and it makes it a net 1-2 for Mercedes, something we've seen a lot in real life.
And watch out for Rick as well. He's looking left and right on the rear end of Iro Dylan, but no way through just for the time being. There, Dylan a little bit way going through 12 is just going to have to try and watch those track limits. Of course, he's already got a rather unfair penalty. He doesn't want to be picking up any more in this race. Car Mentalist still leads. Ben GS still runs second. M Short now has his teammate behind, who has looked to be potentially the fastest driver on pure race pace so far. So he is going to be looking over his shoulder, and he must be thinking, I need to get past as soon as I can on Ben GS, because otherwise I'm going to be coming under pressure from my teammate, who is using overtake to try and close down on that main straight, of course, and we saw Yelp making that unconventional overtake. He can pull any move at any point on the track. Still though, Carmentalist leads. Ben GS maybe struggling a little bit to hang with him, and Hemshore has got to try and make his way through very quickly, because I just see Yelp becoming bigger and bigger in his rearview mirror, and any time now he could be going for a move. So it's a crucial point for these two Mercedes drivers as they dispute the race lead here.
Yeah, and let's see as Carmentalist gets a little bit of a gap between himself and Ben JS in behind 710 size, so we try to break that DRS as soon as he can to lift the pressure from himself, of course. Let's see, in mind, it's quite a large train at the moment. Basically the whole field is matted down the inside of McCrew down into turn 9. Let's see, it's a side-by-side. Matt just forces that McCrew out wide, and Captain Chopped is looking as well there.
Got in the wall.
I think he got damage from that,
yeah. He hit the wall coming out of 10, and that's going to set it back there. And he's going to be praying for another safety car. Yell is so close to short going into turn 13, and again the net race leader is threatened. Dylan has to try and stay with this. He is struggling at the moment and coming under pressure as well from Rick, from Maledictus, from Wesker. They're all in contention for that net podium position there. He's going to have to fight for that, just like he fought for that race lead. Now DRS is going to be activated as they come over the line, but of course everyone is going to get it. The field is so close, and that's going to mean that overtaking is going to be very difficult regardless of the DRS. As you can see, Ben GS, when it is activated, he's going to have that of Carmentalist, and that is going to protect him from Short, Yelp and Dylan behind. They're going to really struggle to move forward here.
Yeah, definitely, as Sky's just picked up a time penalty there, Frankfurt turn 1, but Ryan in the meantime is onto the back of Nico. He's looking quite feisty as always. Let's see if he's gonna maybe try and attack, but he's falling back as he gets the time penalty himself there into turn 6. I think that's the second one, so he's got to watch out with those.
Indeed he does. Then of course Ryan, we saw that as well last time out in Britain, picking up quite a few penalties. Nico as well picks up one for himself there. Short honing in on Ben. Of course those medium tyres will be wearing, and Short is eager to get on with it there, but Ben does get a very good run going through turn 12, but the overtake is activated for Short. He wants this as soon as possible there. The Racing Point does not cover the inside line. Down the inside goes Short, but gets pinched onto the curb, gets a penalty for his troubles, and the move is unsuccessful there. Bang 3 shots to the heart, as James Head would say. He has to sit in behind for the time being, and yeah, Ben, harsh defence, but he's able to keep a hold of P2, and now maybe he'll have a run at Carmentalist with that DRS there. Carmentalist lead could be under threat here.
Yeah, definitely. It's about have used quite a bit of ERS still, like half a tank remaining there. It's a bit of a gap between the top 4 now. Dylan is still struggling to keep on. Let's see, Yelt is looking very feisty. Always has a bit of a look towards the inside in case Short locks up or whatsoever. He's sticking in minds for now.
Yes, indeed, of course. Now Short may have another go at Ben, but of course Ben now with a little bit more slipstream from the race leader out in front Carmentalist, so he will have more of a chance. Yell is very close, but gets himself a penalty as well, as down there, I think that's a Captain Jobs that's retired from the race. Going down towards turn 1, as late launch from Yelp yet again, and the Mercedes come together. Round goes Yelp, Wade goes Short, Dylan into the race now, as Yelp maybe went a stretch too far this time with the lunge into turn 9, had the confidence, but that has meant the Mercedes drivers have come to blows, and now one of them is well down the field there, and Dylan runs a little bit tight going through 12, and now Rick into that slipstream looking to try and pounce on the Red Bull driver, fades to the inside, doesn't commit to the move. Dylan runs wide but just keeps forth, but yeah, the Mercedes making contact. That has isolated Short now as the net race leader, but Yelp now has got so much work to do there. What was he thinking? A late launch from that distance has sent him well back in this race.
Yeah, that was way too far back in my opinion. Gotta watch out with that, but in the meantime we have Ryan to the back of Nico. Once again, is he close enough for a move as we have a safety car? I think Packer has crashed out into the final corner. That's another safety car, and this will help Carmentalist and Ben GS, I reckon.
We'll see what they go with for strategy there. You can see there with Packer, it's the same mistake that Hype's made there, spinning out that last corner and making contact with the barrier on the inside there. Bitter disappointment for Packer, who of course had showed great promise in pre-season, is going to have to go again next week. Safety car out for the second time in this Australia Grand Prix, and the strategy calls are going to be intriguing. Of course the pit stops are going to have to come through soon for Carmentalist and BenJS, but if they want to stay out, they can, and maybe try and take advantage of it. The field was so close under that first safety car. It's barely changed anything in the complexion of this race, I think, despite the fact that we've just lost one driver from the Grand Prix. But yeah, that's going to make things very interesting now. Dylan may have another shot at M Short, and Short, who lost time after that contact with his teammate, is going to have yet another go at trying to get past those two race leaders.
So it may be a good time to run for the penalty. So Carmentelis is on 1 penalty at the moment, BenJS on 1 penalty, M Short's on 1 penalty, Dylan is on 1 penalty, Rick is on 2 penalties, I think. Maledictus is on 2 warnings, so he's in a good position at the moment. Same for Wesker, goes 2 warnings. Nico has unfortunately a 5-second time penalty, and another 3 seconds. Our Carmentelis and BenJS coming in. Top 2 are in. Go on to that, and I think they'll go on to the hards, because I don't think the softs will make it from here to the end. We get some confirmation, and as I'm seeing, yeah, white wall tires, I think, for BenJS here, and for Carmentelis it looks like the same.
And we've got several cars into the pits behind as well. Maybe some of the guys that picked up a little bit of damage, battle scratches on their racing machines, and now they're going to be setbacks. So Carmentelis demerges in P12, not actually that bad, so he may have a shot still, as BenJS just gets out in front of Big Panther's AI car that's still driving around towards the back of the field. But yeah, Carmentelis, of course, set back, but I think he's probably not any lower than he otherwise would have been. Now with fresher tyres, those guys could be on the pro, but of course with the DRS trains that we've been seeing, and with it being so difficult to overtake here anyway, even on fresher tyres, progress for those two guys is going to be very, very tricky.
Definitely, and progress for another few drivers at the back. We have Yeld, Matt and McCrue's gone into mediums, all of them, and they'll be quite quick on those tyres. It's a bit of a gamble, but they were already quite far down the grid, of course. Yelled from that little dive there, and Matt and McCrue were already at the back, so they're taking a gamble and see if they can get up the order then.
I'd say it's definitely worth the risk, and they're going to try and move up as far as they can at this very tight, twisty, narrow Albert Park circuit. Safety cars end this lap then, so a quick period, and now we're ready to get back underway, this time with M Short dictating the pace, and he is tracked by Iro. Dylan does the Mercedes go. We saw Carmentelis was just before the final corner. What's the strategy this time for M Short 17, who has been in the net lead for the majority of this race? Tracked by Dylan, the pole setter. Rick in a surprise podium position. He's made great gains in this race so far, made a good start, and he's just continued to go from strength to strength. I wouldn't even count him out, to be honest, in this race, to be honest. Right up there with the top guys, has shown great race pace, and yeah, don't count out Rick there. He could be a real threat to these top two.
He could definitely be. I have to see about it. It's Big Panther's AI is going out the way there at the back, but let's see. M Short has gone, and Iro Dylan is onto the back. He is awake. He's onto the back of the Mercedes, and he's pulled a gap from 7 tenths, 8 tenths almost towards Rick there. So that's a good restart for him. Mala onto the back of Rick in the meantime. Let's see if any of these guys can pick up a move, as Nika picks up time penalty in the meantime into turn 1. And that's his second already. McCrow doing the same, 5-second time penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. I think it was in the AI car from Big Panther. Chill and Slash are fighting there. Slash pushes Chill a bit wide.
Behind. I think what happened,
a difficult one.
I think Chill got oversteer after he got nudged out wide and collected Carmentelis. A little bit unlucky for both of them, really, and that's going to set them both back. I'm not sure Carmentelis may have wing damage. I saw a lot of understeer from him going through turn 6. Now he's got BenJS hounding the back of him. He's been tracking him all the way through, but there's no move just yet from the Racing Point. But Carmentelis will not be happy, I'm sure, as Yelled out to the outside of QVR. Chill is going to blast him with the overtake mode there, but so is Chill there. He's going to hang on in there on the inside, but the medium tires is going to carry Yell round the outside. Pinches Chill in tight, who runs wide out of 12 and just about able to keep it in a straight line, but he loses out to Carmentelis, to Matt, to Ben and to McCrew. He drops well down the order, but it is M Short leading the way, and Dylan has not been able to go with him there. M Short showing great pace on this restart and is already just about got Dylan out of his DRS, with a lot of overtakes still to use. We'll see if he can keep that, maintain it, because if that's the case, he's going to be in such a mighty position to try and take home this race win.
Yeah, as you can see, maybe he has used a lot of ERS already. He's around 50% at the moment, while Dylan is still 70, so he'll have some to use. Meanwhile, we have Matt and Carmentelis fighting it out, and Matt getting past, I think, for P12 there.
Indeed, he does move forward then on those mediums. He's going to be on the prowl behind there. That is McCrew down the inside on Ben, and he's able to just about make that move. Second to 14 there, Ben, massive oversteer off of 4, does well to save it and keep his chances alive, his hopes and dreams alive in this Australian Grand Prix. I'm going to keep an eye out on Yelp. He's the one to watch as he chases down Slash. Is he going to go for that signature move into turn 9? Yes, he is. He breaks very, very late, and Slash has no choice but to yield there. This time, a successful move down the inside from Yelp, and he's able to move forward. Next up is XL Leng, who's had quite an anonymous race so far, currently in P9. Now he's got Yelp over the back of him there as Chill is off again, this time at turn 10, and a series of mistakes for the McLaren drivers, putting him further and further adrift. Now in 17th and last by some distance there, and QVR Chill taking blow after blow, and now he is way off the back with no front wing, and that is bitter disappointment for the McLaren.
It definitely is. It's not the way he wanted to start the season, I reckon. In the meantime, we have Yelts into the back of XL Leng. Let's see, down towards the main straight. That's Yelts. There's a lot of oversteer on the exit there. A dirty out didn't help at all. Let's see, he's not sizing up a move towards turn 1. I think it's going to be towards turn 3. Let's see, can he get a better exit there?
We'll see, he's got that overtake on straight away. He's going to chase down onto XL Leng. Does he cover the inside line? Not particularly. Yelp down the inside, breaks late again, barely gets it stopped, and Leng gets forced around the outside there. Yelp being so forceful with his overtaking manoeuvres there, giving the other driver no choice but to back off there. Leng had to get out of that one, and through it goes Yelp. He now runs in P9. Skyzy is next up on his list, and I tell you what, with the field so close, I expect that the stewards are going to have a word with that move on M Short as Dylan picks up another penalty. But the pace that he's showing now and the overtakes he's pulling off, he can be right up the front of the field there. There's still a long way to go in this race. Yelp, his charge continues there. He is continuing to move forward here.
Yeah, definitely. Skyzy next up his list for P8. Is he close enough here already? Matkin and a time penalty in behind. Commental is doing the same, but he's not close enough as Yelp towards turn 13, and that's a second behind. Chase down the Ferrari driver.
And you can see Matt T40 as well, hounding the back of XL Leng then, who's coming under pressure from all these medium runners. I suspect Skyzy's not going to last too long in that 8th place there, because Yelp practically pushing him around this Albert Park circuit there of 16 corners, and now he attacks down the inside, down the main straight. They're absolutely parallel going down, and Skyzy with a little bit more in that engine, but down the inside goes Yelp, forces the Ferrari out wide. Then he's going to sweep right the outside of turn 2 there. It's squeezed onto the curb by Skyzy, and both of them with DRS, wheel to wheel again. This time going towards turn 3. This time Yelp has the inside but runs very wide, just gets it stopped with the extra grip in these tyres as Matt gets past Leng. Yelp gets past Skyzy with a very feisty move and a very tough fighting battle from Skyzy, would eventually had to quite just about give way to the faster Mercedes at this point in the race. Yelp up into 8th there. Next up, XL Ryan for him to chase down.
Yeah, as Matt is still onto the back of Skyzy, he's looking down the inside of turn 9, yields out of the move then, and we'll be trying it on later. Let's see, as the overtake opens towards Skyzy, down towards turn 11. Is he going to drive Brownie outside? There'll be a move if he pull that one off.
Wow.
He just about does. What a move from Matt there. Skyzy getting a penalty in the process, and Malassaw as well. But that's a move and a half from Matt to T40. And he's up into P9, and he is only a second behind Yelp. And he'll be chasing the same path as Mercedes driver up ahead.
Absolutely sensational from Matt T40. Round the outside, he got squeezed right up against the wall by Skyzy, but managed to get it done. Of course, he does have the fresher tyres, but nevertheless, that is quite some move, and he's now on the back of NSX Yelp with the fastest lap as well. He'll be feeling good about his chances. Nico was very wide going through 1, and he is going to come under pressure potentially from XL Ryan, but Ryan does not have the ERS to deploy, does not have the ammunition to attack, and does not have any run at the position he may have soon. Nico's all over the place, sliding out of turn 3. It's just been able to keep it together, but now he has Ryan all over him. He has the ominous NSX Yelp chasing them both down in that fight. He's got to keep that DRS off of Wesker ahead, because otherwise he could find himself really at threat then from Ryan and those two feisty medium runners who may be going to strength, because round the outside goes Yelp, this time on Ryan, but Ryan breaks very late down the inside, is going to squeeze Yelp onto the curb. Yelp still alongside him there, nudges right towards the wall, and is just about able to pull off a super move around the outside of XL Ryan, who gave him the squeeze, but Yelp with that tyre grip came through. Now Matt T40 is on the attack, and he sizes up the racing point, and down the inside Ryan tries to pinch it to the inside of turn 12, but eventually can't quite hold it, and through it goes Ryan as Ling and Skyzy battling away there. Skyzy down the inside of turn 13, and now through 14, round the outside goes XL Ling, trying to get that one stopped, and now on the inside of the Ferrari, but Skyzy's done well, holds it around the outside, keeps that 10th place, but runs wide off the final corner, and now the attack may come yet again from XL Ling. He pulls alongside down the main straight, going down towards turn 1 there. Skyzy is exposed and has to slow down behind. Wow, what racing here at Albert Park. I wasn't expecting much wheel to wheel here, to be honest, but these drivers are putting on a show here in front of our eyes. We've got less than 10 laps to go, and still a hefty train behind Maledictus. M Short looks pretty comfortable up at the front, and a battle for second between Dylan and Rick still rages on, but the field's so close. The penalties can make all the difference here in this fight.
It definitely could, and we know a few drivers have those penalties. I honestly can't name anyone in the top 8, 9, 10 maybe even who's clean on those penalties. We'll have to see who gets the least amount. So Yelt is still raging on. His next target is QVR Nico for P6. Let's see as he opens up the throttle after turn 12, over to the DRS and overtake. I think Nico does the same. Nico has still a fair amount, so he's keeping ahead for now.
Yeah, both Nico and Wesker with over 70% of that ERS, so they can use that to advantage everyone else in the field. Apparently struggling there, and Yelt with a penalty is going to hold back his charge, but he's still all over Nico. Look at it, he is literally pushing him around the circuit, and I'm sure the attack is coming soon. Nico activates that overtake there, and Yelt's going to be frustrated in that Red Bull. There's no way through surely towards turn 1, and Nico holds P6, but for how much longer? Gets a good run though, coming off of 1. Round 2 as well, he may just be able to keep it front, but Yelt, we see the moves he can go for. Nico defends the inside line. Still the move comes from Yelt. He's very late on the brakes, but he's done well. In fact, gets the car stopped and gets through into P6. Into 6, Yelt putting on an overtaking showcase here, trying to make up for that mistake earlier on in the race. It may just be too little too late because he does have quite a few penalties. Nico having to get out of that place, and now it's almost a formation there. Every driver's got to put up with Yelt, then they got to put up with Matt TU40, who chases down Nico, who defends the inside line into turn 9, all over the curb, but it's just been able to keep ahead. But for how much longer? Drive out the corner from Matt, gonna get pinched going through turn 10 by Nico, but he's just about able to get through, and again follows Yelt through up into 7th there. Matt goes through after starting last on the grid after going off early in the race. He has made his way through. A Slash looks to have gone off there out of turn 11, may have been caught in an instant there because he is well off the road and well behind the train now. What has happened with Slash there?
I honestly have no clue. He was in that train with Link, Skyzy, McCrew, Bengers and Carmentalist. That's really unfortunate for him. Not had the greatest day, but Yelt's off the back of Wesker. Let's see if he can pull his move off. Wesker open up the overtake though to the fence, and he keeps that for now. Rick is also onto the back of Dylan, so we gotta keep an eye on that one as well. And he stays behind for now as Dylan gets the way better exit there.
Yelt closing down on Wesker, and another move seems to be in the books. Down he's got one kiss. He's taken out Maledictus. Maledictus round yet again. A braking misjudgment from Yelt's safety car, or sorry, not safety car. I'm getting too used to retiring in a safety car. But Slash is out the session. But yeah, Yelt yet again going one step too far with the overtakes, and Maledictus, who was driving such a good race in P4, now finds himself falling down the field. They're bitterly disappointing for Maledictus there, and Yelt, I reckon, has got serious penalties in front of him. Matt down the inside on Matt Wesker, and is just about able to get through ahead of the Renault, but Yelt taking out two, or getting involved in incidents with two drivers as stewards are going to have stern words, I'm sure, of the Mercedes driver there. It's not been a good day for him.
No, definitely he's got to keep his calm through the overtakes, but there's 3 more drivers ahead as Skyzy picks up a time penalty. Ryan is onto the back of Nico. Nico defends the inside there well and keeps ahead for P7 for now.
Yeah, but Ryan all over him there, looking for any sort of manoeuvre to try and get past that Red Bull there. Again, is so close going through these last 2 corners there. Nico, a little bit of bus parking there to try and stay ahead there. The overtake is on for Ryan there, but Nico uses that in his defence, and he's going to try and hold out in front of him there. I'm still keeping an eye on this battle for P2, because that can be turned on its head in any second. Look back further back though. Ryan with no ERS to deploy, just about unable to get up to the back of Nico, and holds 7th for now. Matt now up into 5th behind Yale. I don't think he's doing too badly on penalties. I think he still has a couple though. But yeah, it is M Short still up at the front of this race. He's slowly but surely inching away from Dylan, but I'm not sure if he's won this yet. The order that you're seeing in front of you, I assure you, will not be the order at the end of this race. Ryan picks up another penalty. The penalties could be the deciding factor in this Grand Prix.
It most certainly will be for some positions. Rick still onto the back of Dylan. Dylan holding on quite tightly there, and Yelt is closing up as well. Gotta be careful with the overtakes though. Let's see, Rick is quite passive into turn 11 and 12. Yelt on the end onto the back of him now. Wesker is having a 3-second time penalty in the meantime there.
Indeed, and of course now Nico now beginning to hone in on Wesker, who's lost out that DRS from the charging Meteor Runners ahead. Speaking of which, NSX Yelp, the danger man in this race, now onto the back of Rick, onto the back of Dylan, round the final corner, gets massively out of shape just about, keeps it together. Does Rick go for any manoeuvres this time? He's very close to the back of Dylan, but switches off that overtake at the end of the straight and is not close enough yet. Dylan is always so strong, going through turn 1 and 2, and that might be enough this time, but Rick has got the overtake on. He's desperate to try and find some sort of overtake, and quickly looks towards the inside, doesn't go for it. Yelp gets fairly close yet again to Rick, up to his rear diffuser, is unable to get through, but Dylan is having to absorb all this pressure as Maledictus ready outside of XL Ling, runs way, gets on the brakes, locks up, but just about keeps 9th place on a comeback drive after being caught up in that incident with Yelp there. A complete passenger in that one, but Maledictus now trying to move through, but he's got 4 seconds up to the next car there.
Watch
out,
run down inside of Rick for P3 then, and he is passed for now. Rick is still looking for the switchback, but he's not getting past here. I reckon Yelp is staying ahead for now.
And Yelp now has a clear run, no DRS of course for Dylan, and that's going to be a major step back for him there. The grip of Yelp still taking forward there, further down the field there. It's Skyzy and McCrew, they're almost 3-way going into turn 11. Wow, can they keep that one clean there? Skyzy gets pinched by Ben. I have no idea how they're all still pointing in the same direction, and now Ben's going to be under pressure because here comes Skyzy to the inside of turn 13, gets it all locked up. Contact almost goes round as the Ferrari, and now McCrew looks towards that inside line, does not fully commit for a dangerous manoeuvre going into turn 14, has to sit behind. These guys of course fighting for the final points paying positions, aren't going at it there. That was such a dangerous situation going into turn 11, but all due respect, they managed to keep it together as McCrew gets alongside Skyzy. But I'm keeping an eye on the battle for P2 as Yelp down the inside on Dylan and is comfortably through. Matt is now with it as well. Yelp runs wide though, and Dylan tries to get underneath, is not quite able to. Is McCrew right in turn 1? What's happened there?
I think he might have been pinched at some sorts, as Matt is still looking onto the back of Rick. Very close onto the back of the AlphaTauri indeed. Maybe towards turn 9 he'll be able to do something. He has plenty of ERS to be noted. Let's see, he's going to use it here, down towards turn 9, down the inside. He makes the move stick, it looks like. Rick is still fighting back down the outside, but Matt squeezes in towards the wall and gets past for P4 there.
And now Dylan next up on his hit list there as he continues to follow Yelp through the field for the time being. He's doing a good, efficient job, Matt, of moving through the order. Remember where he started. He's had a sensational afternoon. But where will the penalties, of course, land him? Nico right on the back of Wesker, looks to the inside and a turn 13, but has to back off just at the end there. Has to wait, be patient behind that Renault and strike when the opportunity comes. Dylan may have just lost that DRS. Now he's just about kept it. The defend from Matt TU40, who is going to be honing in on him all the time, but that straight line speed aided with the DRS helps out Dylan. Yelp pushing. M Short is pretty clear up at the front, and I think Yelp might end up winning this race on track, you know, but we'll see. As Matt now to the inside on Dylan. Dylan does not defend aggressively, and Matt going for the podium there, parks it on the apex just about well enough, but runs wide, and now Dylan back round the outside, but is unable to quite make that counter offensive manoeuvre, and Matt is up into the podium places, still sticking with Yelp being a bit of a thorn in the Mercedes driver's side. But yes, M Short for the first time his lead may well be threatened, but I think with the incidents Yelp has been involved in, I think the stewards will still have something to say about that. And now that there's maybe a little bit of downtime in this race there, how are the penalties shaping up? Because this order that you're seeing on track, they could be wildly changed by the effect of the penalties at the end of this race.
So M Short is on 1 penalty, Yelp is on 2 provisionally, Matt is on 1 penalty, Dylan is on 2 penalties unfortunately, Rick is on 3 penalties.
Sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off because down the inside goes Nico on Wesker. Very aggressive defence from Wesker. He runs it a little bit wide, does Nico, but he's able to get it stopped and up into 6th place. So he's just been able to get through. I said that it was a bit of a downer in this race, but the action never seems to stop here at Albert Park there in Division 2. Been absolutely remarkable so far. Yellow's down there. I think that's McCrew is going very slowly down there. He's managed to pick himself back up as Rick and Dylan still's going at it. Wesker back to the outside on Nico, and Nico's just about able to get that stop, but the DRS is going to be in favour of the Renault. Does he try and fight back there? Nico to the inside, Wesker to the outside, onto the brakes now, going into turn 3. Nico a little bit later holds the inside line, locks up, but Wesker still holds it on the outside. Now it's the inside line, but Nico pinches him tight to the apex and just about keeps that 6th place, gets out of shape going through 5. It's just about able to hold that Red Bull and keeping it pointing in the right direction. But he's able to get past Wesker, swapping and changing all the time. Nico past Wesker, but how are those penalties shaping up then? Because it could be so important with just 2.5 laps left to go here.
So Nico has 3 penalties going on for what we were. Wesker 1 penalty. Brian has 6 penalties. That's not too great to see for him. Maledictus on 1. XL Ling 1 warning. That's quite impressive, isn't it? But what we used there for him. Ben JS is on 3 penalties. Let's see, Skyzy, he is on 1, 2, 3 penalties as well. Carmentless on 3 penalties. Chill is on 3 penalties. Big Panther is of course not in the session anymore. McCrew a lot of penalties as well. Not looking too good for him either.
2 laps to go here at Albert Park, and M Short is heading towards the first win of the season. He just has to keep it together. He's got about a 4-second lead over Matt TU40, who on penalties is his nearest rival. Still that battle for P4 rages on. I've been amazed at the close proximity with Dylan and Rick holding it together, and yeah, they feel just be getting to part of town then. It has been sub-final stint. I hope you've all enjoyed this race along with the stream. But yeah, as we're heading towards the conclusion of this race, Yelt chasing down M Short, but I think he's just going to run out of laps to get onto the back of his teammate, and with 1 extra penalty I think his chances of winning this race are very slim. So M Short just has to keep it together, and the first win of the season will be his, and he's driven such a clean race. Managed to stay out of trouble despite a little instant coming together with his teammate. But he just has to bring it home now in this final lap and a half of this race, and it will be a well-earned victory.
It does look like it. 1 lap to go indeed. As McCrew sets a fast lap to race, he of course still want to try for that, and he has that completed. He'll be moving on to the next race. Rick is still on to the back of Dylan for provisional P4. Let's see, can Rick pull up and move into the final lap? Same for Nico and Wesker, they're still close as well in behind. Let's see, Dylan gets a really good exit out of the last corner, and it's going to be tough for Rick to actually get close this lap.
Rick using everything in his resources in terms of the ERS, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough there. We'll see, as Dylan has got to use overtake now, and he does, able to pull himself a little bit further away. Penalty Nico in this last lap, and Wesker bearing down on him there. Is there a move to the inside? No, he's a little bit half-hearted there. Nico laying up on the brakes to just about keep himself in that position, but these two have been jostling, jockeying back and forth all the time as Carmentos late move on Skyzy. Skyzy looks for that switch back and out to the outside, going through turn 4, but Carmentos is able to shut the door and keep ahead in that 12th place. The final points being position. There's penalties for both of them. I think they're actually equal in that regard. So Carmentos doing all he can and trying to secure that final point. It's been a bad race for both of them, but they can try and salvage what they can in this race. Every point counts in a division this close.
Yeah, it definitely does, and we'll see how the penalties fall off, but I'm sure it's coming through the final sector, and he's driven a tremendous race. Credit to him, and he'll probably be racking up the win here. Let's see, he's coming for the penultimate corner, the Mercedes. Let's see, round the final corner, and he'll be on to win this Grand Prix.
M Short as Yelk gets a massive sight up oversteer off the last corner, but M Short over the line. He is going to be your winner for the opening round in Australia. Matt TU40, a brilliant second place. What a drive from him there. Superb strategy work and superb overtaking as well. Yelk ends up third, Wesker fourth, Dylan fifth, and as per usual, Leg absolutely careens up the field with the penalties there. P6 for him, Rex 7th, Maledictus a very unfortunate 8th, Ben GS ends up 9th, Nico with lots of penalties comes through in 10th place there. Carmentalist and Skyzy 11th and 12th. Ryan ends up outside the points in 13th. We're waiting for Chill, Big Panto's Ghost Car, and eventually McCrew, who's dropped it again on that final lap. A nightmare race for the Dutchman. But yeah, M Short, and that is quite some statement there. Absolutely dominant. Looked absolutely serene up at the top of this race, and he's earned himself a brilliant race victory here. He is on top here in Australia, and the rest of the field is going to have work to do next time out there, because that is very intimidating pace from Short there. And yeah, can he be stopped, basically, is the question we're asking there. M Short, what a drive to take the win.
Yeah, definitely a very good driver. Of course, can't forget that Matt has come from basically back of the grid all the way up to P2 after a spin as well. And he gets from me the driver, gets from the game the driver of the day. And I gotta agree with that, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other option there. But, of course, the man of the hour, M Short 17, a brilliant drive to take the win there, and of course incredible for Matt TU40, showed great pace as well, and I think all three of these guys that you're seeing on the podium are right up there in terms of raw pace. I don't think there's three better drivers on the grid. Of course, there's only one race in, but those three have established themselves as top flying contenders there. M Short in the Mercedes takes the race win there after a fantastic and action-packed Australian Grand Prix run. So the results for Verstappen.
Yeah, M Short taking the win ahead of Matthew, and EL's ran off the provisional podium. Then is Wesker and Dylan, both good races from them. Link, penalty free as always in P6, good race for him. Rick showing promising pace. Maledict is a bit unfortunate there in P8, but he'll not be happy, but he'll be happy with his pace, I reckon. Benjies and Nico rounding off the top 10, and Carmentalist and Skyzy picking up the last points. Brian in P13 with an unfortunate amount of a lot of penalties, honestly. Big Panther, his AI car is still there for some reason in 14th, and Chill and McCrew, they've had not too great races. McCrew picking up the fastest lap still then. Slash Packard, Captain Chops and LR Hypes are unfortunately not making the finish then. They'll be looking for a better ride next time out.
Indeed they will, but that is going to be it then. A huge win for M Short. A brilliant drive from Matt TU40 as well. They're the Starman in his first opening race of Australia. We say D2 never disappoints, and even at a track where overtaking opportunities are limited, we still got one hell of a race. We hope that you've all enjoyed the race, enjoyed our coverage of that Grand Prix as well. So I don't think there's really much more for us to say then. So until next week then, I've been Zaka, he's been Verstappen, and until next time, we'll see you later.